Did you know that you can fly from Bragança to Portimão, from the north to the Algarve? Let me share with you then this item from the Portugal news. How much does it cost? You may well be asking. That's perhaps the only drawback. If you imagine you're in a 380, you're not. You're in something a whole lot smaller. That might put some people off, seeing the size of that aircraft from Sevenair there. Is it because only 7 people can fit on it? Is it because it weighs 7 kilograms and might get blown about a bit up in the airspace above Portugal? Let's find out more. I would you? Let's see what's going on then. How much does it cost to fly from the Algarve to Bragança? This is the Portugal news as of 11 hours ago. The flight that connects Bragança to Portimão makes stops in Villarreal, Viseu, and Cascais. So if you don't like taking off and landing, you won't like that either. You won't like that part of this service. The air route connecting Bragança to Portimão with stops in Villarreal, Viseu, and Cascais. Did I say that? Yes. Oh, Viseu, of course. Nice one for you, Hugh. Resumed on February the 19th. Informed the concessionaire company Sevenair, but how long does it take? What's a concessionaire company? How long does it take? How much does it cost? According to the timetables provided by the airline service concessionaire between February 19th and March 29th, there are fewer connections, as on Wednesdays and Thursdays, the plane only connects Bragança to Cascais. Well, that's okay, isn't it? It's still a lot of fun. After the March the 31st, and until October the 24th, planes will land in all cities and the frequency will also double. On Sundays, there are still no flights. You can't do it on a Sunday. How much does it cost? This looks like incredible value and an amazing experience. According to information available on the Sevenair website, where this is intrepid journalism, where reservations can be made, here prices vary between 51 euros and 84 euros in February and March. It's not too bad, is it? For April and May, it is still possible to make reservations at the lowest price of 51 euros. How long does it take? The connection between Bragança and Portimão takes just over 2.5 hours. For example, a flight leaving Bragança at 7:30 in the morning arrives in Portimão at 10:05 in the Algarve for breakfast or brunch, at least. That's still lunchtime in Portugal, isn't it? 10 o'clock. The new contract signed for the next 4 years between the government and Sevenair is worth 13.5 million euros, 3 million more than the previous concession. How does that work? Who pays who, I wonder? Because sometimes governments subsidize airlines, don't they? I know that flying to Madeira is subsidized, and the Azores, I think, is subsidized by the government. It's weird, isn't it? I mean, presumably the reason it's so cheap is because it is subsidized. That seems incredibly inexpensive, doesn't it? 51 euros to fly from the top of the country to the bottom, rivaling the train fare, I would have thought there. What do you think of that? Good morning to you, João Ernesto Donot. To you, Michael Heron. Good morning, España, with a bon dia alegría, amigos. Good morning, everyone from Gemini Bradshaw. Bon dia, Portugal, of course, from João Ernesto and Coach Turner heading back to the airport. Saudades setting in for the Turners there. Bon dia, Gumpers from Mike as well. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Pretty good here. If I've got time, I'll fetch up a photograph or a video of either Gralha or San Martinho de Porto Beach. I've met up with some lovely people this weekend in the Bay. Bon dia, Gumpers. E Feliz Segunda, says Coach Turner. Home time beckons, sadly. Off to Lisbon Airport in a while, but not until we visited the wonderful Pastelaria Briosa for coffee and natas. Now, talking, also adding morning. Yes, certainly in October, but maybe earlier as well. Thanks for all the help there. Yes, Mike says, hopefully we'll see you back in Portugal soon. I got your message, Mike. I will respond to that. I think I need to give you a call. Right, let's have a look at another little bit of Portuguese. Well, it's not news. It's a language and culture thing. And given that you're on the call, as it were, and many more live streams and meetings today. It's a busy one for me today. Bon dia todos, Carl. Yes, you said thank you for the Marmite and your face lit up. Great party. That's why today's called Moving and a Grooving. I want to retrace your dance floor steps this morning, Bob and Viv. Right, this cultural story, possibly with the help of Michael Heron here. And you know all these lovely memes I like to share with you, and we've got we'll have a thread specifically for them now at the Portugal Club. And thank you, Antonio F, for your inclusions. The Chega MP, who's accused of nicking stuff off the carousel at one of the airports, he's got some ready some. He's feeling the heat with some pretty cool memes. I think you can get a wraparound for your suitcases now, which says "not the property of this particular Chega MP." I don't think the Portuguese Parliament has held itself in particularly high esteem over the last few days. I think there was a vote of no confidence in the PM as well. Did you see that this week? Tense times in the Portuguese Parliament, and this may go before them as well. I have never seen this. I'm quite familiar with the Portuguese coffee scene. And if you have a look at what's on your screen now, I know some of you just tune in and listen like it's a radio show, and quite right too. I've got no problem with that. But I want to draw your attention to this scandal here of how on earth is it that we've got the Australian flat white, mate, and definitely the flat white is the Australian coffee, isn't it? The Irish have got the Café Gaelic, as you might imagine as well, and the Swedish have got a Kifused. And I won't attempt many more, apart from the Spanish one, maybe. Would you like a café bonbon with me, Antonio Banderas, as I'm inviting you for coffee? However, in Portugal, the Mazagran. Who here has heard of the Mazagran coffee? Not me. And I'm trying to blow it up a bit so I can actually read the print. Oh dear, that's gone the wrong way. It's even tinier. It is a cold brew recipe which essentially intertwines coffee and lemonade. It sounds disgusting, and I've never seen it. This is supposed to be from Little DIY, and they send out a meme every day by the sound of it called the littleshine.com. The Portuguese coffee Mazagran. I've never seen it in all my time here. Has anyone else seen that, or is it just a bad bit? Did they put the intern in charge of research, and it was Friday afternoon, and the first thing they could find to represent coffee from around the world from Portugal was a Mazagran? That'll do. Nice picture. That sounds good. Coffee and lemonade. It does if you're a kid, I think. But I mean, that's an outrage. That should be in the Portuguese Parliament as a representation of Portuguese coffee. All of these illustrations should be withdrawn from around the world for this gross misrepresentation. Have you ever had a café Mazagran here in Portugal? No. Me neither. Bob and Viv joining us in a little while at around 20 past, and James being saved until 8:40 this morning when we get further information, blow by blow account of his move from Ericeira to Espinho. Another thing I wanted to draw to your attention this morning, our Bon Dia Daily Deal, is if you want to go ahead and buy the book from Isabel Stilwell, the interview I did with her from last Thursday evening is now up on the Expats Portugal YouTube channel, and very good it is too, even if I may say so myself. Really, really enjoyed talking to her. And if you want to buy it from the publisher, and I'll give you the link for doing so, she's a fascinating lady. I was looking at her Wikipedia entry, so to speak, and she's a very accomplished journalist in the Portuguese newspaper and magazine industry, and has been for years by the look of it, as well as writing these fabulous historical novels. And if you want to go ahead and buy the book that was being spoken about, that's Philippa of Lancaster, who came to marry the Portuguese king, who's my street is named after, Dom João I, and had the illustrious generation of kids, including Henry the Navigator and Edward the Philosopher. If you'd like to buy that book and get 10% off it, if you haven't bought a book before, that is from Livros Horizonte, do so on the link that's now on your screen. And there's a lot of other interesting books there as well, actually. If you want to try out your Portuguese and buy a book and read it in Portuguese, you can. And I think you can get some English translations there as well. Oh, also excellent to meet Nick over the weekend. He's the guy who gave us the video of the Chinese shop on Friday, and he's a great guitarist. So we'll be featuring some of his little musical sketches that he's making as he makes his way around Portugal too. Another thing that caught my eye, this was from I think an introverts Facebook group, which sounds like a contradiction in terms, does it not? If I take that comment off the screen there. Oh, I think we need to look at the weather for the week ahead. I think the sunny days versus non-sunny days is neck and neck or it was up until Friday, and I need to adjust that because it was a glorious day. It was a properly good sunshiny day yesterday here in the Bay. Brought a lot of people to San Martino de Porto. This is a new thing, and I wanted Sarah. It's as if you knew I was talking about you this morning, because Bob and Viv, I think, want to talk about Podence and the incredible carretos that you will see there at the Podence Carnival. And I've got your pictures from when you went there. Good morning to you. Lovely to see you. What about this then? And I think probably quite a few of us who communicate with each other. Oh, morning to you, Mel, as well. Didn't see you come in to the back of the room there. People who don't reply until days later. Why? Now, I think the Gen Y, Gen Zers, they're like this, aren't they? If you've got kids of that age and you send them a message, they don't think they need to reply, do they? It's just like a memo, a corporate memo. And sometimes they don't reply at all. And sometimes they'll reply at a random time, many days later. It's a relatively very new phenomenon, it says here, by Spizmac on this particular Reddit thread here that was in I think it was an introverts group on Facebook. It's a relatively very new phenomenon that basically anyone in your life gets access to you at all times. It was only 20 years ago that if you left the house for the day, does anyone remember this? That if you left the house for the day, you were actually gone. You'd return messages when you came back hours or even days later. But even then we didn't, did we? We'd sit down, maybe with a cup of tea or coffee, and we'd press the answer phone button and we hear, please leave a message. This is just as Jim Rockford, please leave a message after the tone. Burp, remember him? Oh no, that's Dallas. Jim Rockford. We all had them, didn't we? Some of them had 2 cassettes in. They were incredible bits of technology, it seemed like at the time. And then you'd wait and see who it was. Old people who couldn't leave messages, spam callers, people you didn't want to hear from, not hearing from people you did want to hear from. It was the same. It was just different technology. But the point being made here, I think, is that it's like communication is optional now, isn't it? It's like I wonder anyone communicates anything anymore with these random messages that are going out. And this big question here, people who don't reply until days later, why? And I have to say, guilty as charged. What about you? Tell me what you think about that. All right, talking of videos, we will have a look at some of Nick's videos and his lovely guitar playing, sat by rivers and stuff like that. This was something I wanted to share with you from last week, and we'll take a quick look at the weather if you've got time afterwards. But I've been saving this and wanting to share this for you. Oh, it's only a minute long. What is it to be Portuguese? I'm loving seeing these. And these, I think, are from one of the TED Talks. It's either Mavilia or the one in Lisbon, another part of Lisbon. There's 2 TEDx talks going on, I think, around now or coming up in the next couple of weeks or so. And this is a bit of a promo for one of them.
What does it mean to be Portuguese?
Open to the world. It's such a small country. We have to be open to the world. We have a past about that. You are here in a part of Lisbon in which the discovery heritage is very present. Many of the streets around here are names of Portuguese sailors and discoverers. Many times we have such a fatalist mindset. Probably that's what make us more resilient. I think we are very different in that way also, in that aspect from Spanish. I think they are more light-minded. We are a little more dense, a little more dark, which is not necessarily bad, but sometimes brings us sadness. But probably that's what also makes us more resilient.
A little bit more dense and dark than the Spanish. He managed to make that sound like a compliment, didn't he? I mean, if I were to call you dense and dark, you probably wouldn't take too kindly to that. But in a brilliantly Portuguese way, he owned it culturally. It's like, well, yeah, that's what makes us as great as we are. We're dense and dark, certainly more than the Spanish. Amazing. Right, before we talk to Bob and Viv, let's have a very quick look at the weather, see what's happening in terms of the sunshine and the 300 days research experiment, which I suspect I shall talk about more with James when he joins me on the screen. Right, where's that weather button? And let me bring it onto the screen for you so you can see it as well. Oh dear, that's not the right button. Easy now, careful with what buttons you. Button, Carl, what's going on here? Have we frozen up? No, we haven't. I think we're okay. There it is. A bit slow to load this morning. That's the problem. Right. Oh, okay. Still loads of cloud forecast. A somewhat sunny day in the capital on Wednesday. Elsewhere, Porto, cloudy this week. Currently 12 degrees, going to rise to 14 in Porto.